Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go. Okay. The third day of Dislichus is a significant day in Lubavitch. It's a day when all the Rebbeim would say Chassidus to the next Rebbe in line. And they would spoke about making Farbrengens today, in these 24 hours of Gimmel Dislichus. They said that we should learn Maamarim that were said on the third day of Dislichus. And I don't know if I would realize this without the Rebbe saying this, but certainly after the Rebbe said this, if you look at the Maamar of Gimmel Dislichus, you could see that there's something different about them. Something, I don't know what the word is even. They're deeper, more Vedic. It's not necessarily deeper, more Vedic. It's.
You're saying avoided, right?
Vedic. Definitely, there's a lot of Vedic in these Maamarim. There's also Haskalim Maamarim, but I don't know. It's just like I'm not a connoisseur. But with no further ado, I want to share a Vort from one of the Maamar of Gimmel Dislichus. In the Davar Shemeri that we recite every day now, so there's a pasuk, L'chomar libi, bakshu fonai, s'necha vaya bakish. On your behalf, my heart says, seek my face. And then the response is, indeed, Hashem, I seek your face. So my heart says, on your behalf, and your behalf of Hashem, with your mission, my heart says to me to seek your face, Hashem. That's the way that's the way it's translated in the Siddur. Seeking your face, the face of Hashem, in general means to look for the. It means to look for look for the innermost desire of Hashem, to see what Hashem really wants you to do, to connect to Hashem's innermost desire. Bakshu Fonai also means to look for the inside of everything. God writes in a letter that during this time we're supposed to look inside our mitzvahs, inside our Torah. Not just to learn Torah, not just do mitzvahs, but to think of what is our energy in Torah. Do we really realize when we learn Torah, do we feel that as Isaiah says, we learn Torah, there's tapkus rucha barucha, there's a cleaving of spirit to spirit. When we eat, when we drink, we do business.
Spirit to spirit, the human.
Spirit to Hashem's spirit. That's what Isaiah compares learning Torah to kissing. It's just like when you kiss, you connect your breath to the person you're kissing's breath. So to when you learn Torah, you're connecting your innermost thoughts to Hashem's thoughts. So bakshu fonai means look inside of whatever you're doing. Look inside the Torah, look inside the mitzvahs, look inside the gashmis, the things that we do. Look inside to see if are we aware, are we to be more aware, not just to see hashgacha pratis, which is part of it for sure, but to also to when you eat and drink, to think about the godly energy which is in the food, the godly energy which is in the makes everything in this world tick. So are we in touch with the godly energy and everything? When I eat, am I looking for the satisfaction, the pleasure that the food gives me? Or am I looking for to be animated by Hashem, who the spark of Hashem, which is in the food? So that's the meaning of bakshu fonai in general. Chassidus and this Maamar Gimmel Dislichus add another point to this. First of all, the word my heart. A heart has two components, two levels. Just like in the Beis Hamikdash, there was an outer altar and an inner altar, and the outer altar Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay. So Zev says, I forgive you. I could see that in your face, the way your screen is just now.
There's a little bit of maybe a heads up if you're going to do that.
You know what happens, Zev. You know what happens. All right. Anyways, so
Do it again.
okay. So there is the outer altar and the inner altar. The outer altar in the base of Mikdash is where the sacrifices were brought, and the inner altar is where the keteris was brought. So it says that the word korbanos comes from the word closeness, and the word keteris is translated in Aramaic as keteris comes from the word kesher. Keteris is not just about being close to Hashem. Keteris is about being one with Hashem, being bound with Hashem. In a similar way to the two dimensions in the heart, the external part of the heart is the part of the heart which is affected by our understanding. It's how our emotions are created through our understanding. So you think about something that motivates feelings that you have for something. So that's your seichel is impacting your heart, and because of that, your heart wants and feels things. You want to be close to something because of your understanding. When your understanding is fueling your emotions, and that's why you want. That's what's making you interested. So where that leaves you is that you're close to God. You're close to Hashem, but it doesn't make you one with Hashem. Being one with Hashem means that you can't differentiate between yourself and Hashem, and you're lost in Hashem. You're lost in the experience. Comes from a higher dimension of the heart, the pnimius halef, the inner part of the heart, which is beyond logic and reason. That's the Alter Rebbe says in chapter 4, Kedesh, that sometimes people do things and say things to earn money, which are totally crazy, and that's because the money is something which touches the innermost part of the heart. They really identify with this. I saw yesterday a story of the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe Rashab asked someone to suggest in Lubavitch and Nidri Mashpia. The Rebbe Rashab told one, I think it was the previous Rebbe, to ask if there's certain chas to serve as Mashpia in Lubavitch. Now that's a pretty unique position. You need to be of a unique spiritual caliber to take that position. So the guy said no. I don't know if he knew that Rebbe Rashab suggested it or not, but he said no. So Rebbe Rashab said, offer him money. He offered him money, he took the job. So the Rebbe Rashab said, there's a term in Kabbalah, krum dechafi al mecha, which means in the membrane that is above the brain. And then beyond the membrane, there is the air. So in Kabbalah, that means some lofty level of godliness, but it also means in a human being, it seems in something which is in the subconscious, I guess. So Rebbe Rashab said, in the krum dechafi al mecha, in the avid, the rachaf al krum dechafi al mecha, in that space of the brain, get geld retza alman. Money speaks to everybody. So pnimius halef from our animal soul is we see what that pnimius halef is. You're attached to something in a way that's illogical. That's beyond logical reason. So conversely, we're talking about love of the Eibishter, attachment to Eibishter, Avos Yisrael, Avos HaTorah. There is pnimius halef. There is not just where you're interested and you love your Yiddishkeit, but you're smitten by it, and it's beyond logical reason. So that's the two dimensions of the word leiv. Then there's two translations of the word bakshu. Bakshu could mean to search, and bakshu could also mean to ask. Bakshu could mean that I am asking for something, or bakshu could mean I'm searching for something. So in these two explanations of bakshu are connected to two explanations of the word heart. If I am asking Hashem for something, I care about what I'm asking for, so I ask from the deepest part of my heart. As it says in Sifrei Musar that the daven is compared to a bow and arrow, and the farther back you pull back that bow, the further the arrow will reach. In a similar way, when you daven from the pnimius halef, the deepest part of your heart, to talk to the Eibush and really care about what you're saying, that affects where your prayers reach. I just want to review for a second in the Gem video we saw Motzei Shabbos. Rebbe said that a Jew may feel that the Eibishter isn't necessarily going to answer him this year because the relationship has gotten weaker and these things aren't the same. And the Rebbe says that's why when Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu to tell the Jewish people about doing Dislichus, he didn't just tell him, but uniquely, there's the only place Hashem actually put on a talus, and Hashem says, this is how you do it. And it reminds me very much of Gan Chavada, the preschool teacher, telling the kids to go on the mat. They don't just tell them to go on the mat, they go like this, sit on the mat. Like this, they have to demonstrate because the kids don't get it. So the Eibush has to demonstrate for us that this really works. We talk to Eibush in time of Slichus, the Eibush really listens. That Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem, what should they do when the base of is destroyed? They're no longer kabbanis. What should they do instead? So Hashem says they should do this. Hashem says they should put on that talus. They should say the Hashem Kem Rachem Achanu. And then Hashem says this will achieve forgiveness for them. So we have to bakshu fonai. We have to ask Hashem. Asking comes from the diktimis halef. And then another meaning of bakshu. Bakshu also means to search. What are we searching for? We're searching for in ourselves, we're searching through our behavior. There are a lot of different ways to measure your behavior. What are you using to measure your behavior? So bakshu fonai means that the way to measure your behavior is supposed to be with libi. Supposed to use your heart to measure your behavior. So your heart is searching through your behavior, and your heart is saying, am I doing what Hashem wants me to do, or can things be better? There is a depending upon what your yardstick is to depending on what your yardstick is in serving Hashem, that's how you determine whether you're doing good or not doing so good. So that's the reason why every day when we daven, we first recite Shemona Esrei, and only after we say Shemona Esrei do we begin the confessionary prayer. Why do we, if we have to approach Hashem and we messed up, the first thing we should do is we should say, I'm sorry. And then we can have a conversation about how we have this need, you have that. And before first do anything, you should say, I'm sorry. And then I still want to ask you for things, even though I made these mistakes. But instead of every day, we do the opposite. First, we ask Hashem for things, then we say, I'm sorry. Why do we do that? The reason we do this is because we don't really know what's wrong until we daven Shemona Esrei. The Shemona Esrei is a time when we feel this closeness with Hashem. And when you feel that closeness, then you start examining your behavior at a different level. Ernest Neman of Shalom, he was by the previous Rebbe for Shavuos. And it was a very intense time. This Maamar, this step on life for Tikkun. And he took a nap, I think it was in the second afternoon of Shavuos. And he was told, when he woke up, told him the Friedrich was saying a Maamar. So he woke up in the middle of them and he runs to hear the Maamar. And he walked into the Friedrich Rebbe's Maamar. The Friedrich was saying the words, and a servant never oversleeps. So his whole life he would be very emotional thinking about this moment, like a servant never oversleeps. Like on the surface, he's a human being. He overslept because he was tired. But then there is a different perspective. Are you a servant of Hashem? If you're a servant of Hashem, a servant never oversleeps. Or let's talk about for a second the two kinds of tefillin that we wear: Rashi tefillin and Benatan tefillin. Rashi tefillin is being devoted to Hashem, thinking about the miracles of Hashem, and it's meant Rashi tefillin is meant to give us this sense of a devotion to Hashem, thinking about how Hashem is in charge of the world and how Hashem has done miracles for us, and He commanded us to put on that tefillin next to our heart, next to our mind, so that we should devote our heart and mind to Hashem. That's what Rashi tefillin is meant to give us. But Rashi tefillin is different to Benatan tefillin. Benatan tefillin is a little deeper. Benatan tefillin is connected to Chachma the Abba, and Rashi tefillin is connected to Chachma the Ema. Rashi tefillin is connected to understanding godliness. So you understand godliness, makes sense to you. The Eibush makes sense to you. So that's supposed to give you some kind of idea where you're supposed to be. Supposed to do this, supposed to do that. You have to understand the truth of Hashem. Yeah. The Benatan tefillin is about Abba. Abba is about seeing godliness, not just about understanding godliness. So even though we're talking about two sides of one coin, we're talking about two perspectives of the same truth. We're talking about the truth of Hashem as it is in logic, and the truth of Hashem as it is in a visual perception. But it's still, they're both the truth of Hashem. Yet, Rabbeinu Tam Tefillin is meant to give us in our lives a different kind of devotion to Hashem, a higher kind of devotion to Hashem that's based upon seeing God, something which is a little more super rational. It's still Seichel, still based on Chacham. Abba is still part of Seichel, but it's something which is beyond the regular kind of Seichel.
The example you're giving is Abba and Gimmel. It's parents. You can say that both parents, but each one has a unique perspective what they give over.
Right.
It's two different things. So
Right.
it's parents at the end of the day, but it's still
right. There's two different parents of the intellect. There's the father and the mother, and they both produce two different kinds of intellect. So while I could use my heart to examine my deeds and I can come up with I'm such a tzaddik, but if I really understand who I am and what my potential is and what kind of tzaddik I really am, looking at the way the Eibush looks at me, I wish I knew the source of this. I heard that Rabbu Menasecha means great is your faith in me. It's got this more. Rabbu Menasecha, not just great is your faithfulness, or another explanation is great is our faith in you. Rabbu Menasecha means great is your faith in me. So if I knew how the Eibush looked at me, what kind of tzaddik he considered me, so then I would have a whole different kind of. So that's the meaning of Bakshu Fonai, is to use your heart to examine your behavior. Use your heart, not just to. You could examine your behavior based upon what you think that you could do using your mind. This is what I've done till now. This is the bar that I've set for myself, and now I'm going a little bit more than the bar. I'm really doing good. But then, if you look at things with your heart, look at things with your neshama, so then there's a different kind of demand you have from yourself, thinking about what you're really capable of, because you're looking at it from a different perspective. So that's the scared. Now Dislichus ready?
Yeah.
All right. Great day to Yosef, great day Yonatan, great day to Zev,
thank you.
great day to Dr. Restman.